Coming, this is the third time Shana Chazaka. We have the schus to hear from Rabbi Noach Orlowek, Shlita, from the Mashgiach of Torah Or. We want to thank our sponsors, the Levine, Sipper, Ziskwood, and Anderson families, who are sponsoring this Chashva event, the Shir, in memory of Jeanette Levine on our upcoming yard site, as well as the Tversky and Eisenberger Mishpachas also are sponsoring this event. And the past two times has been amazing. The Olim has come away with such a chizik and practical ideas and chinuch and Torah. And we look forward to hearing from Rabbi Orlowek again. Thank you.
The subject that I was given by a very, very great educator who maybe does not want, doesn't like too much limelight. Let's be comfortable being uncomfortable. Can we handle being uncomfortable? Teaching our children to handle discomfort. Now, first of all, this subject applies to everyone, everywhere. People don't like discomfort. Okay? Just don't. Teaching children is one facet of it. You need to know that this is part of life. Okay. A year ago, I had made my yearly trip to Chile. Yeah? This year I got cellulitis, so I went to the hospital instead of to Chile. That night, it changed. There's a Jew there. Is anyone here from Chile? No? Okay. I forgive you. There's a Jew there who learned in Machon Yaakov, who I know a lot of years. He had changed apartments. I came into his apartment, and he looked out the window. There's a beautiful view of the mountains. And on top of one of those mountains was a very large cross. Cross. So I said to him, Daniel, how could you live in this house? He said something to me that touched my life. That cross is reminding me that I'm in exile. I'm in Galut. That's what that cross is doing. You take something which is so terrible, so difficult in your mind, and turning it around 180 degrees. Okay? A lot of comfortable and uncomfortable depends on how we look at it. A lot of uncomfortable is good for us. Okay? We'll explain it. We also need to know there are special times of life where it's expected to be uncomfortable. Transitions. It's been pointed out in the secular world that immigrants have more anxiety, they get tireder. Because I have to say paper instead of diario, instead of blot, instead of newspaper. I remember to say a different word. And it takes its toll. I'm in transition. Transitions, what was true yesterday is not true today. And we live in a world of transition where you don't know what's going to happen. Even half of a hotel can just fall. That's not to be expected. But the world is moving so fast. But in the life of a child, there's a change between a 12 or 13-year-old and a 20-year-old. We call it a teenager, But what's going on? So the Sfas Emes tells us what's the difference between a 12 or 13-year-old and a teenager. Sfas Emes is Torah. And Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner explains it also. Rabbi Hutner says that a 12 or 13-year-old is expected to know that I can't do this. It's a time when I understand there are things that I can't do anymore or that I must do, but they're not expected to understand the big picture of life. A 12 or 13 is a bar or bat mitzvah. Do I have to do this mitzvah or don't I have to do it? And how do I need to do it? It's this mitzvah that's in front of me. It's like a candle. It's very, very specific. Torah is light. Yeah? When the sun comes up, now you see a big picture. Aha! Now I'm supposed to understand the big picture. The results of what I'm going to do. To take responsibility for my life as a whole, for my life direction, for others. So it's not what you have done, but who are you? And to give you an example of how this pans out, it says the three major averos: avodah zarah, idolatry; kirei aros, immorality; and murder. They're big ones. Lashon hara keneged kulam. What? It says so in the Chofetz Chaim. He brings the Chazal. Does that, what? Beis Din, if you did avodah zarah once, you have witnesses. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to be a person who really knows, a chover, yeah? You had it in Mata Asma Misa. I'm doing this because I want to die. Complete mazid. You know what word mazid means? Vayozed Yaakov nozid. Yaakov cooked up a porridge. A mazid is a cooked up act. I decided to do this. Okay? The Chassam Sofer was saying that someone who in a fit of taiva was committed a very immoral act. It could be chayiv misa. Could be, depending on all these conditions. But the guy who planned in advance to do something, even something less serious halachically, he's no tshuva. He planned it out. So we see over here there's a difference. Avodah zarah, gilui aros, shvichas damim, are acts we do, a person does them. Does them. Humans do make mistakes. But if you're a Baal Lashon Hara, there's something wrong with your identity as a speaker. That's why children have to know to talk. Whatever a child says, it's okay. Whatever a spouse says, it's okay. Whatever a parent says to you, it's okay. I want you to keep talking to me. It might be painful. It might be right. So we see the Beit Din Shel Shamayim, Prophet says, judges, who are you as a person, as a totality? Okay? Chofetz Chaim talks about bittul Torah. Wait a minute, like we're so terrible? Now, I'm not trying to make anybody neurotic here. You have to know where you're holding, and we can talk about that at this time. But there are things, telling a lie. There isn't any punishment for it, but But would you want to deal with someone who's a liar? And when it comes to speech, that's your humanity. There's a diamond, is mineral life, a tzameach, plant life. There's animal life, and then there's a medaber, a human life. you are taking away from your identity, from your humanity. That's much worse. So a teenager is in transition from childhood to adulthood, is in transition between only expected to understand this to having to understand light. Transitions are hard. And they don't happen suddenly. 2-year-olds have a word that they share with teenagers. It's no. Don't give a teenager or a 2-year-old an order, because they won't listen to you. And the more orders you give them, the more you're training them, they don't have to listen to you, because they're not going to listen. Now what are you going to do? Okay? So, transitions are hard. If we're stuck on yesterday, we might fail today. If we're stuck on tomorrow, we don't have today. The present, Rav Dessler says, is the crossroads between what was, that's a zokain, a person who you, a saver. He knows life. He knows what's been. And, you know, you change. As you get older, you get white hairs. No. It's not such a big deal, etc. That's a saver. But there's a zokain, is the other type of person who you give honor to because of their wisdom. A saver and a zokain. They save a token, but that's a zokain. The zokain has the wisdom of taking the future and pulling it into his present. That's the difference. So Rabbi Zechariah Levacha, Rav Simcha Wasserman said, what do you do if you don't have such vision? So look at what someone did 20 years ago and what he looks like today. Okay? But if the present is the crossroads of your reality now. Do you value now? We'll expand on that, Be'ezah Hashem, if there's time. Okay? Now, I was asked a question in the previous city I was in. Now that we have toddler, 3-year-olds, let's say, how do we keep our shalom bayis? That was the question. This kid is a handful, and the kid goes into their room, and they have busy lives. How are we going to keep our shalom bayis? That was the question. Very good question. But there's one of the answers that I gave them, that couple, was, and this is directly related to our subject, discomfort comes from disappointment. I didn't expect this to happen. This was uncalled for. In my vision of the way things are supposed to be, it's not turning out. But if you prepare beforehand, so then that discomfort, A, is less likely to happen, and if it happened, it was expected. So it's less uncomfortable. You knew beforehand that if you have a child, so then there's going to be discomfort. Children are discomfort. If you want children, some people don't get married because of discomfort. Some people say, I'd rather have a new Volvo than another child. I'm not criticizing anyone, but my level of discomfort is going to change if I can not be bowled over by it. Also, it depends on your life priorities. A bacher, not from any yeshiva I'm associated with, came to me and said, I need to marry a rich girl. I need expensive cars, vacations, to afford all the happy, quote unquote, parts of life. She doesn't have a perfect girl for you. She has everything you want. She's rich. She has connections. Everything you want. Whole long list. But there's only one chisaron, only one drawback. She's not Jewish. So I said, oh, no. Oh, I'm not willing to be that price for being comfortable. So you have to decide. My ticket cost $6,000, $7,000 to come here. Okay? It's a business ticket. And for various reasons, it was necessary. It's expensive. So what can I say? So, and I don't do it because the flight attendants are nicer to you, or the food is better, because I can't eat most of the food anyway. And the movies, I'm really not interested. So like what I have over there, I have a bed. That's it. That's all I need. That's what I want. Yeah. So the question is, based on your life priorities, what I'm paying for doesn't make me uncomfortable, because I know why I'm doing it. I'm not surprised. Okay. Let's take our next point. Is that there are many people who look forward to discomfort. Now that might sound strange to you. There are people who seek discomfort. Now, anybody here, and don't raise any hands, ever go for bungee jumping? It's made to feel dangerous. What I've heard about it, you have to sign just in case you die, just in case the thing breaks. It might break. Or these roller coasters that they have new ones. I was never on a roller coaster because I'm not a masochist. Yeah? Yeah? But they have these roller coasters that flip over in the middle, and they're scary, and they make them scarier. Yeah? They're seeking it. People play chicken. Do they really want to die? Well, I'm not going to die, but it'll be a challenge to death. So they're seeking. People climb mountains. Yeah. Now I'm not saying anything bad about mountain climbers, but what they're putting in a lot of discomfort because they want to see that vista. Mount Whitney, people in Seattle appreciate it because they don't always see it. Because it's misty, it's cloudy. At least it was when I was there last 20 years ago. Yeah? Whether it's really global warming or not, I have no idea. Okay? How about a horror movie? Like, why would someone watch a horror movie? You understand? The answer is they're seeking the discomfort. Let's do it. Let's go through it. When someone is sailing across the world solo, it's dangerous and it's not comfortable, but I'm choosing to do it. Okay? So first of all, it's not a given. You have a playboy who's tired of life, has everything he wants, he goes on a dangerous safari. Like, why? Now, we're not talking here about pleasure seeking. If you have students who are interested only in physicality, it's because they haven't tasted the happiness of spirituality. And I'm not necessarily talking about Torah learning. Giving to others. Helping others. Taking care of others. So, pleasure comes, you have to import the pleasure. If you have to import the pleasure, you get tired of it, because it's not you, yeah? And it goes down in a moment, or whatever it is you're injecting yourself with, makes you feel good. I know I just came from Los Angeles, so there was a case here, my lung doctor, who knows my lungs for 35 years, and listened to me. Any other doctor would have said, oh gosh. I said, no, it's your lungs, you're doing okay. Yeah? There was a death of a kid who was vaping, and his lungs were very weak, and he went up to a high place where they had to get together, and he died. Another, a patient of hers, who also was vaping, which is very bad for your lungs, and he was planning to go on a high altitude. So she said, no, he cannot go. It's a brush with death. They're ready to have so much pleasure, yeah? But what are you vaping for? It feels good now. I have no idea. It's a, yeah, okay. Okay. So we have to know before we get to the point of the subject as you understood it when you chose it, that it's not a given that discomfort is even a bad thing. Okay? When people go through a sickness, and they get better, there was discomfort. But now I appreciate things more because I went through that discomfort. The kidnapped people said the same thing as the Holocaust survivors. I wouldn't give the experience away. I don't want to do it again. Now, no one chooses that. And I am very happy there's still people who are saying Tehillim because they're people getting shot at. They're getting shot at. Some say people are used to it and it gets very hackneyed, it gets rote, so we have to stop. I don't know, choose a different Mizrah of Tehillim. But when you daven for someone, you're expressing your humanity. A human being is caring about someone else. I tell Bochrim, there's milk, there's a place where you can have coffee. Put the milk back in the refrigerator. So you had your cup of coffee. But why should it? It's a tiny act, but increases your ability to be sensitive to someone else, which is really one of the main things you need for a successful life. Or you're in a room, no one else is there. Under many circumstances, just turn the light off. Someone's out raising money, loyolai, yeah, okay? Someone's out raising money. So it's not that much money, okay? Turn off the light, it increases your inside. When you increase your inside, so that's permanent. When you look for the outside, is by definition not permanent. Okay? Okay. Now let's talk about, to answer the question that you thought you had. Okay? How do you respond? How do you teach children or ourselves to handle discomfort? Because a human being is created with his anegal Hashem, to have pleasure. Discomfort is not pleasurable unless you choose to do these things. Maybe a society says, no, have you gone bungee jumping recently? So you won't have your friends if you don't. Or let's go walk in the desert with insufficient water. It'll be okay, it doesn't matter, but it does matter. Okay. First thing you need to know, it is a hallmark of life that they're going to be ups and downs. Okay? I had a flight from Israel to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles to Miami, and then a flight to Newark, and then a flight back to Israel. You know, we know there's a thing called jet lag. What do you do about it, etc.? And what if you're just an economy? What should you do? You better get up. Less frequent than every half hour, and walk around and stretch yourself. It's not worth it for you to spend $5,000 more for that, but that's okay. But it is part of life. There's going to be discomfort. It's built into life. A live person has ups and downs, hills and valleys. We try and maximize the hills and minimize the valleys. Rav Ober made famous the Sefer HaYosher. It says all of life has ups and downs. You have to know how to weather the downs, how to prolong the highs. Don't think that the down will be forever, because it won't. Don't think the high will be forever, because it won't. So here we have that if it's part of life, then it's going to be different. Then it's not, it shouldn't make you uncomfortable. Getting married. So there's a Rashi, says, it's a Chazal, that they cried l'mishpachaseim. They cried because familial relationships, nuclear family, is forbidden. So what are you crying about? The answer is, in my opinion, it's the best shidduch. She knows you inside out. No disappointments. Okay? So it's very predictable. So what's the problem? You know what Shana Rishona is, the first year of marriage? The amount of time it takes for a woman to be sure her husband loves her. I know it's a tilted definition, but I'm tilted. Okay? So, they cried. It's built into marriage that there's going to be ups and downs. That's the way it is. It's not a sign of disease. If you don't have ups and downs in the EKG, it means you're dead. And that's the reality of the heart. It goes up and down. Everything goes up and down. Now, these lows can come, intellectual low. You have a lack of creativity. There are people, creativity has a big emotional component. Great writers get up in the middle of the night to write down an idea that just hit them. There's a inspiration element. Sometimes I know someone who's great in music, and he needed to take certain medicine, done. He doesn't have the ability anymore. Okay? There are all kinds of medicines and situations. Sometimes you'll have a situation that will lower your ability to be creative. A lot of noise. A lot of other things going on in your life. But that's part of life. Okay? Understand that. A person has a project and needs to focus on it. There are times that you can't focus. I tell those in high school, elementary school, when my son has a school in Rabbi Noach, he has a school somewhere else also. So we just had a siddur party, a chumash party for the one in Shari Chesed, and then there was a siddur party for the ones in Ramot. So the rabbis talked to the parents, like who's interested in the parents? So I turned to them. One of the things I say to them, and when your mother tells you to go to sleep, go to sleep. Now, the worst way to get someone to sleep is to tell them to go to sleep. Especially, even a little kid, but even a 2-year-old, forget it. There's a routine that's necessary beforehand. And once you have the routine, so then it starts happening by itself. Yeah? But if you have to order kids to do it, then until you order them, it doesn't work. And then they have the ability to say no. Or you shout. Okay? Shouting is a form of bullying because I got you, I forced you to do it. Well, now you have to shout in order to get done. She's not really angry enough yet. It becomes necessary. Or waking someone up 12 times. Well, okay, the 11th time doesn't matter. When she gets to 12, I better get up. So you shoot yourself in the foot. But when you have a habit, which is automated intellect, yeah, so it happens by itself. But you have to put it in, okay? So sometimes there are things that will take away my creativity. There's a famous story about Rav Gifter, Zechayna Revacha. About Rav Gifter. Tells the Rosh Yeshiva. He had a disease, I think it was Alzheimer's or something like that, and he couldn't remember from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. He knew how to learn. So every line he understood, but he forgot, oh, what did it say 5 lines before? And he was in terrible, terrible pain. Until the doctor told him, there's something in your mind that's blocking you. But you have everything in Olam HaEmes, in Olam Haba. So he said, thank you. Because that's what really mattered. It's technical, but with this disease, you can't do it. I personally sat with one of the great Gedolim of yesteryear. Those of you who know Rav Moshe's Psokim, Rav Moshe Feinstein, he said this shaila about opening refrigerators. Well, this Rav already paskined on this, so I'm not going to answer it. He was the chief Rav in America before Rav Moshe Feinstein came. At the end of his life, he remembered one Mishnah. What did he do? He said the Mishnah, I was present. Again and again and again and again. That's right. Then you know who this person is, a giant. I think it was the Shah Gesarye, the end of his life, I'm not sure, who someone came to ask him a question, but he was holding and learning. So he was walking around the room a bunch of times. He said, oh, I'm sorry. He forgot that this person had asked him a question when he got into his learning. So that's part of life. This is has to be prepared for beforehand. Okay? Sometimes down to hormonal. Sometimes they're side effects of medications. Recognize that this is part of life. There's certain things diabetics can't do. There's certain people who have certain allergies can't do. My Rebbe was asked to speak by Rav Shlomo Goldberg, who was then a Rav in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So he asked the Rebbe to come and give a talk. And he said, okay. And then he found out how high Albuquerque is. And he had a heart problem, so he canceled it. Okay? There's a Marsha that says, Ha'hechach eino maguna. In other words, what has to be is not to be put down. Ve'eino meshubach. It has to be. It's so terrible to have to go to sleep. Is it so terrible to have to eat a meal? If you go to sleep in order to have a clear day tomorrow, that's part of it. That's part of your spiritual things. If you eat a good breakfast, a Rebbe has to eat a good breakfast, has to go to sleep, because he has to be patient. That's the way. That's part of life. You want to choose something else, so do something else. But it must happen. Okay. Sometimes we have gone through things that were disappointing and uncomfortable. The next time you face that, oh, I've been there, done it, I can get out of this. I can get out of this. Okay? I know how to deal with Chile after twice being arrested, so I know what they want and what they don't want. And you just behave yourself, that's all. All you have to do is know what's coming up. I made a big mistake last year. I forgot the address I was going to, which is a no-no. In England, the boy from Torah came to a wedding, and they asked him, where's the wedding? He didn't know, but the boys are outside. They sent him back to Israel. You don't have an address? You can't. I came to Menachem Oval, a student in Manchester. I was coming through Air Turkey, which I'm not telling you to do now. Yeah? And I got there, and she asked me, why are you coming to England? So I said, well, I have a student whose father passed away. I want to comfort him. She looked at me like, huh? Like, is she going to lie? If you're a liar, you couldn't think of that one. You're going to travel a third across the world to comfort a student whose father passed away. So she let me in. Because, But you have to know there are times that you have to be prepared. In Chile, she looked at my record, 20 years of being a good guest, meaning coming and leaving. So she let me in. Now I know it's 070 San Jose de la Sierra. That's the street. I've been chazering it all year. Okay? So I know what they want. And you have to declare everything. If you declare, it's fine. I came to Australia. I said, are you carrying any drugs? So I said, yes. She looked at me. Okay, what kind of drugs are you carrying? This was not planned, by the way. What kind of drugs are you carrying? So I took this out. You know what this is? Huh? That's what it is. Hope it didn't. So she looked at me. I think she's trying to decide whether I was sane or not. That's a drug, but it's a drug. I'm very literal and I get into trouble with it. Yeah? So, been there, done it. Now I know that they're not going to consider this a drug in Australia. Okay. You could even have help deal with discomfort when you learn how other people with discomfort have gone through it. There is a Mefurusha chicken soup of the soul. Okay? That there was a flight from Orlando, Florida, somewhere around here. I'm from Brooklyn. I have no idea where Orlando is. Yeah? And a gyroscope didn't work, and a mother put her body over her child, and because of that, the child survived the crash. And how that person is going to deal with guilt, my mother gave her life up for me. Several weeks afterwards was the same thing, so that flight ended okay. But he heard a voice of courage several seats back. A mother telling her young child, I am now about to put my body over you. It's in order to protect you. If anything happens to me, it's not your fault. Beforehand, discomfort that you know is going to happen beforehand, yeah, it's not such a problem. Because I can project that there's, what do I need to do? I went for an MRI. So they give you a little ball in case you feel claustrophobic. So they put me in. It was great. I was alone and it was quiet. So after they pushed me out, I said, can I have another time? She looked at me like, are you normal? Okay? So you can learn from other people's experiences also. Okay. Right. I daven in Rabbi Bess's shul in Los Angeles. It's on the same continent. Yeah? And there's a guy who davens in front of me. His name is Rabbi Bader. Yeah? Rabbi Bader is also an emergency technician for Hatzalah. I remember one time it went off in the middle of davening. He quickly took his tefillin off, left his towels, didn't do anything, just ran out. In the middle of davening. He came back. I asked him, is everything okay? No. For the last 3 shachases, nothing has happened. So I told him before I left, it's so wonderful to know that sometimes it's quiet. That's right? Okay. So, we're not looking for excitement. As Rav Miller would say, I'm looking for a boring life. Boring means there's nothing coming in from the outside to destroy my my learning, or whatever I'm doing. Okay. Now, I want to learn with you a piece of Rabbi Rucham. Rabbi Rucham Lubavitch, who was arguably the greatest mechanech of the 20th century. My mashgiach, Zechayna Levrocha, told us that Rabbi Rucham held, if you want to reward a child with something, give him the opportunity to give to someone else. He gets a treat, not too many treats, not our subject now, not too many treats. Yeah? White sugar is also addictive. What you're going to do about it, I have no idea. That battle was probably lost. Yeah? It's not good for you. Rav Schweinberg used to say, buy them a toy as a reward. Don't buy them, creamsicle. It's not good for them, for many reasons. But, that's one thing Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan used to charge money for the alumni who were coming back for the high holy days, for the Yom Naroim, for Rosh Hashanah. I always said Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And they come to Rabbi Ruchim for a art. So Rabbi Ruchim said, and you had to pay for it. Yeah? I remember in Chaim Berlin, for Rosh Hashiva's Maimarim, putting this Maimarim, Bruya, so Chaim Berlin used to write them out. He had to pay for it. Things that come free, you don't appreciate it. So he told them everything you have. He said, how am I going to get home? Do you want divorce? I don't want divorce. So he gave him everything. A few years later, he came back and said, your vote saved me. Your vote saved me. He knew every bacher there well. Rabbi said, I'm happy to hear that. And he reached into his pocket and said, here's your money back. This was Rabbi Ruchim. So listen to carefully what he's going to say. And it's really puts things into focus. And we'll finish with a beautiful shot. This is in Vayechi, Das Torah, Reish Pei Aleph and Reish Pei Beis. That's 221 and 222. He says, we were driven out of Egypt. We didn't even have enough time to bake bread. Now, the bread couldn't rise. Why did Hashem do that? He wanted to see that we could immediately shift into a gear that I do it because I know that's what I have to do now. We're supposed to, we're not leaving till the morning. Plenty of time. No, now. When they train people, they say, okay, now do this, and now do that. If it's really inside your DNA, then you can do it. If not, it's not. Okay? The Jews are going to go through a lot of different situations in life. Exile, and it's opposite, without going into details, but we can, if you want. We have to be ready for anything. In 1979, there was a very sudden change in Iran. Very sudden. In the United States of America, the change is also pretty sudden and pretty alarming. Change. In Israel, there are very, 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 very scary changes. There was an American president, he's before your time, named Abraham Lincoln. That's how it's spelled in Israel. Rehov Lincoln. Because the L in English is silent. You hear? It's near the King David Hotel. Rehov Lincoln. So he said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And find out about a sukkah also. It doesn't stand. There's no protection. A home is protection. I can disagree with you, but doesn't mean I have to hate you. Rav Brevda Zatzal taught us, very great Jew, Rav Shlomo Brevda, we live in times where if you're 1% against me, I'm 100% against you. But I don't have to hate you. I'm not going to go into Israeli politics, but we have enemies. We don't have to hate them. We don't have to hate them. They don't know from the right hand to their left hand. They don't know anything. If you remember, well, Yom Kippur. It'd be very hard to find in Russia today. Very hard. I may have to fight you because the legislation you want, etc. So I have to fight. Okay? But not hatred. But then he goes on to the point I wanted to make you. He says like this. Most people are far away from this. They keep their desire to stay at peace, physical peace. I need physical peace, or else I can't function. He says, no, physical peace does not produce spiritual peace. It has to be perfect for you, or else you can't function. There's noise in the world. Chosin b'yem chupasai. A guy's getting married. If you're missing something, he'll get all mavubal. Where is the ring? Yeah? He's getting mavubal. And then he says, Magale b'pume de inshi. There's a saying in that mouth, people have the saying that everyone has. Sha'achar chatuna, after the wedding, ha'adam nichnas b'toch chaim chadoshim. He enters a new world, a new life. That is just a way of looking from the world, the way the world looks at things. No, it's not true. That you think from becoming a bacha to getting married is a new life, and it is. But it's not a new life. They're coming to a new world, new life. Oy va'avoy, whoa! It's the l'chaim ka'ela, such a life where now it's new. You are a continuation of what you were before. Now, situations change. Rabbi Noach Solomon Zatzal sat by his wife an entire Elul and did not enter the yeshiva. He has a different obligation now. There was a great philanthropist from Chicago, Rabbi Mr. Informis. Yeah? So I asked him, why did you leave Gateshead in order to go to Lakewood? He was so successful there. The city looked up to him. And at his funeral, Lakewood was crying. Someone from Manchester from Gateshead got up and said, you're crying now, we've been crying for 25 years. Why did you make this change? It's much easier. You know what he said? A Jew doesn't do things because they're easy. Yes, having a toddler, a 2 or 3, I asked someone, what are you going to do if your wife has quintuplets? Oh, I'm done. It's a new situation. Sure, it's uncomfortable, but I want the quintuplets. Or, as Vedel Epstein said, at a Pigeon Haben, you're a peasant, yeah, you're just a plain old Yisrael, and you have a firstborn. And the Kohen says, if you want a son, Ma boys tre. What do you want more? Your son? If you want your son, it's going to cost you 5 shkolim. 5 silver shkolim. Or maybe just leave the kid by us, and no problem. So my boys tre. What do you want more? You want an easy life? No good. No good. I want a meaningful life. So to end this what we were speaking about, and to bring we have bitachon in Hashem. We trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What that means, I know He hasn't lost my file. I know He hasn't lost my file. I know that He hasn't forgot about me. The Chofetz Chaim said that the reason that there was an invention of a phonograph and a camera, because the emunah, the belief that Hashem sees and hears, was weaker. So now we have to have something concrete. That, no, Hashem, He hears also. And He also sees. Well, now you have something where at every bus stop, or most every bus stop in Israel, over here, I don't know if they have buses. I know on the signs, there are buses. Here they have buses. Yeah? there's a thing that says every single bus that comes past this route, how far away is it? So you could have a moron sitting in the control center of Eget, the bus cooperative. And his IQ is a moron, he can't read, and he knows where every bus in Israel is. Well, if I know that, then it's easy to believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has not lost my file. There are other things that you can do to increase your bitachon, but Hashem has not lost my file. He knows where I am, and He loves me. Okay? We have to know that difficulties make us better people. There's a famous story about one of the great rabbis, I think it was the Alexander, but I'm not sure, maybe someone can correct me. He was collecting money for firewood, to buy firewood for poor whose homes are cold. He went to the home of a wealthy man, and he said, "Do you have money?" And he started to do it. He said, "Come in, Rabbi." No, he's not coming in. He's not coming in. Rabbi, please, come in. He's not coming in. Rabbi, I'm cold. Oh, now I can ask you for money. And lahavdil elef havdolas. Don't think I look at these books when I can learn. Basically not. There's a book called Focus. It's a very good book. Or if you have any questions about whether you should show your children, entertainment and video games and all that, there's a book called Glow Kids, and the new one, which I got in Chile, is The Anxious Generation. Yeah? There's a cartoon of two wonderful people giving their 5-year-old son, his first device, and saying, "Here's your device. It was nice knowing you." Okay? He writes there an amazing thing in Focus. People, wealthy people who are always wealthy and are wealthy now, have less empathy and sensitivity to someone else's suffering. Why? It's not Torah. I brought you right from Torah first. And I always warn you, if I'm going to give a secular source of my opinion, I'll warn you in advance. They never experienced themselves what it means. They always had enough. So you never did it. So you feel less empathy. Discomfort is sometimes a very great gift. And you learn how to handle it. But more than that, you learn the pain of it. Now you can be sensitive to another human being. And there's almost no greater gift than that, to be sensitive to someone else's pain. Okay? Okay, I have 45 seconds. I want to give you a bracha. You came here, you took out time to come here and to spend the night in order to grow as a person and grow as a parent. That act should bring down Hashem's help. He says, you've made hishtadlus, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you to become people that you want to become. And he never lost your file.